Turn it up. It's The Record Machine with your host, Jimmy Howe.
Way on the other side of the Hudson, deep in the bosom of suburbia, I met a young girl, she sang mighty fine, tears on my pillow and Ave Maria. Standing by the waterfall in Paramus Park, she was working for the Friends of BAI. She was collecting the waters in a paper cup. She was looking for change, and so was I. She was a Jewish girl, I fell in love with her. She wrote her number on the back of my hand. I called her up, I was all out of breath. I said, come hear me playing a rock and roll band. I took a shower and I put on my best blue jeans. I picked her up in my new VW van. She wore a peasant blouse with nothing underneath. I said hi, she said, yeah, I guess I am. Ariel. Ariel. We had a little time, we were real hungry. We went to Dairy Queen for something to eat. She had some onion rings, she had a pickle. She forgot to tell me that she didn't eat meat. I had a gig in the American Legion Hall. It was a dance for the volunteer ambulance corps. She was sitting in a corner against the wall, and she would smile and I melted all over the floor. Took her home with me, we watched TV, Annette Funicello and some guy going steady. I started fooling around with the vertical hold. We got the munchies and I made some spaghetti. We sat and we talked into the night, while Channel 2 was signing off the air. I found the softness of the mouth. We made love to bombs bursting in Ariel. Other side of the Hudson, deep in the bosom of suburbia, I met a young girl, she sang mighty fine. Tears on my pillow and Ave Maria. Tears on my pillow and Ave Maria. Tears on my pillow and Ave Maria.
Ladies and gentlemen, singer-songwriter Dean Friedman is on the program. How you doing, Dean?
I'm very well, and yourself?
I'm doing pretty good. Weather's nice. About 60 degrees here in Myrtle Beach.
Oh, that sounds lovely.
You're in upstate, right?
I'm about an hour north of New York City, in Peekskill, New York.
Oh, okay. And you're originally from New Jersey, though, right?
That's true. Deep in the bosom of suburbia in Paramus.
You know, I grew up pretty close to there. I grew up in Richfield Park, New Jersey.
Oh, yeah, sure. Hop, skip, and the jump.
The song Ariel, that's about the mall in Paramus Park, right?
It's true. Actually, my younger brother, Ariel, is, a real, music lover, and he used to listen. He used to be a dedicated listener to WBAI. Mm-hmm. And there was a time in our teens where they were going through all kinds of squabbles with management, and they were doing fundraisers, and they had a booth. And so my brother went to the Paramus Park Mall, the shopping mall there, and it was helping out the station by collecting money for WBAI. Mm-hmm. So that's a reference that I used and incorporated into Ariel. So it wasn't really Ariel who was collecting quarters. It was my brother Aaron.
Oh, okay. So
but I just borrowed the image.
Oh, okay. So Ariel is not a real person then?
Ariel's kind of a composite of all these girls, teenage girls that had a crush on growing up in Paramus.
Uh-huh.
Although eventually I met her, we were walking our dogs in Riverside Park, although she spelled her name Alison. So there were 3 common letters otherwise. And, for the purposes of writing the song, it was a fantasy. Right.
Lucky Stars, great song. What was it like working with Denise?
She was introduced by a guy named Don Palouse, who was working with her as a manager at the time. And he had engineered my first album. Mm-hmm. And so we were in a recording studio, I guess CBS studio somewhere, on the old studio. I can't remember now whether it was Studio B or whatever, on 48th Street and 52nd Street. She opened her mouth to sing, and her voice filled the room. So when after writing the duet, I thought, I bet she could do a good job of it, and indeed she did.
Yeah, I seen you guys did like a reunion a few years back. I saw a video on YouTube. I thought that was pretty cool.
I mean, we're in touch now and then. She is a fine songwriter in her own right, and she continues to record and gig. Mm-hmm. She's a talent.
And you have a pretty good relationship with the fellas from the band Bare Naked Ladies, huh?
Well, I'd learned that they'd done a cover version of my song "McDonald's Girl" after it was officially banned by the BBC.
Right.
And it became their first airplay hit in Toronto.
That's great.
And sort of launched their career. Mm-hmm. Since then, Steve Page, who was a founder and lead singer, when the band started out, he's sung background vocals on some tracks on my Songs for Grown Ups album. I did a gig with him in Connecticut just a couple of months back. Mm-hmm. And he's a good guy.
The McDonald song was actually used in a McDonald's commercial, right?
It was. It took them about 3 decades to get around to it, but indeed, I got a call one day. They wanted to license it for their radio campaign. They used a version by a band called the Blenders, their a cappella group, had a number 1 record with it in Norway. Mm-hmm. And it was a little song that insisted on being heard, even though it was banned for sounding too much like a commercial.
Now, did it run for a long time, or was it just for like the year?
It ran for about a year, different markets all over the U.S.
That's pretty cool.
It was a treat. It was nice that the song got recognized, even after all that time.
Yeah, and you have quite a catalog as far as music CDs, and I noticed that you did a comedy album. What was it like doing that?
Well, I'd been to something called the Edinburgh Fringe Festival in Scotland. And there are a lot of great comedians there that show off their wares, and that was really, made an impression on me. And so I went home, and I'd always had a couple of comedy songs in my repertoire, but I put out an album that was just all comedy. And it was very much influenced by, experiencing all those great comedians in Scotland. And it was a fun album to do, and so it's gotten a great reception. And it's sort of enlivened my whole set now, being able to sprinkle those in among the regular tunes.
Squirrels in the Attic. How did you come up with that title?
Well, we had squirrels in the attic. So, to me, it was sort of a metaphor for kind of that mischievous part of your brain that is always sort of getting you into trouble. Just, getting up to mischief. One of these days I'll come out with more squirrels in the attic.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And your latest CD, 12 songs. It's great. What's your favorite song on that album and why?
It's hard to say because I'm really proud of the whole album and all the tunes on it. And, as with all my albums, they're pretty eclectic and very different from one another. I have a special affinity for the track Malala, just because it's such a powerful story. Her, surviving to become this empowered advocate for young girls getting an education all over the world. And I tried to, sort of express that story in poetic terms, and I felt like I achieved what I set out to do. Songs are like little kids. Some are just better behaved than others, but you love them all.
That's one of my favorite ones, the one that you just mentioned. Growing up, who was your favorite music to listen to, your favorite artist, the people that, inspired you?
Well, my mom was a singer and performer, so there was always some Broadway show tune on the piano. And then I got a transistor radio and was listening to all the top 40. And so my influences were eclectic and varied. I definitely always had an affinity for singer-songwriters, folks like Joni Mitchell, Paul Simon, James Taylor, and, folks who were storytellers and painted pictures with their words and music. So that's something I always aspired to do myself and still try to do to this day. So when when you listen to an album like 12 songs, the idioms are going to really run the gamut. As you say, from jazz to country to folk to pop, and that's what I like about it.
You got a pretty big schedule coming up over the next few months, huh? You're going to be doing a big tour. You want to talk about that a little bit? I've got some dates in the States, including the one in Peekskill and the one coming up in Asbury Park. And although the bulk of my touring is over in the UK and Ireland, and that's just because I had more hits over there. Okay.
And so I go there once a year for maybe 6 weeks at a time, and I just it's a little bit of a commute, but it's always an appreciative audience. So I'm grateful for that. It makes it worthwhile.
And you got a festival coming up called Song Fest. Can you talk about it?
Well, last year I invited a couple of friends to join me doing a show. And so they're excellent songwriters, Boothby Graffo and Tracy Curtis. And so I wanted to sort of kind of a micro festival, just a really small festival. But to be able to share my audience with folks who I consider really outstanding songwriters and performers. And it got such a great response that I decided to do it again this year. So got a larger roster, and again, just really outstanding, talented singer-songwriters that are going to be joining me for those weekends.
People that live in the United States and live in New York or New Jersey, they can purchase tickets for the show in Asbury Park, and the one that's by you, right? Your Peekskill. You're playing at the Dramatic Hall March 23rd in Peekskill, and then
this Saturday.
Yep, and then you're playing Tim McClune's Supper Club on the 29th in Asbury Park. That's pretty cool. All your gigs, people can purchase the tickets, and if they want to purchase your music, they can get it at deanfriedman.com, right?
Exactly. That's the place.
Awesome. Well, Dean, I appreciate you taking the time out and talking to me.
All right, well, thanks for having me and for helping spread the word. And if you make your way down to any of this, just give me some advance notice, and I'd be happy to have you as my guest.
Awesome. It's been a pleasure, buddy, and we'll talk soon, all right?
Good talking to you. Take care.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
What are you crazy? How in the hell can you say what you just said?
I was talking to myself, shut the door and come to bed.
By the way, I forgot to say, your endearing mother called today.
Did you see Lisa?
Yes, I saw Lisa.
Is that why you're angry?
I wasn't angry,
Maybe a little.
not even maybe.
Must be the weather.
Now don't be a baby.
Well, how am I supposed to feel with all the things you don't reveal? And you can thank your lucky stars that we're not as smart as we'd like to think we are. Would you like to talk about it?
There's not much to say. We had lunch this afternoon. Her life's in disarray. She still goes around as if she's always stumbling off a cliff.
Do you still want her?
What are you saying?
Do you still want her?
Baby, stop playing.
Really, I mean it. Can you forget her?
Baby, now stop it. You should know better. I know this is hard to do, but there's no one for me but you. And you can thank your lucky stars that we're not as smart as we'd like to think we are. Baby, I'm sorry I was wrong. I have no alibis. I was acting like a fool and I apologize.
Listen, hon, I know you're dumb, but that's okay. You don't have to look so glum.
Do you still love me?
Yes, I still love you.
You mean you're not just being nice?
Not just being nice.
Do you feel
Oh,
sleepy?
you're so sincere. Yes, I feel sleepy.
We'll slide over here, 'cause I may not be all that bright, but I know how to hold you tight. And you can thank your lucky stars that we're not as smart as we'd like to think we are.
And you can thank your lucky stars that we're not as smart as we'd like to think we are.
And we can thank our lucky stars that we're not as smart
as we'd like to